I mean, maybe people who read fantasies may also really get surprised to see that this is a greater fantasy than anything else, because in the narration of the charge sheet, you could see how Narmada Ka looks like, what is her complexion, what is her beauty, everything comes through. You know, like you can see that Narmada Ka has what kind of voice she has. I also know, like, dreamt of Narmada Ka all these 2 years in my Anda cell, how she would look like, and then and if I happen to meet her, what can I speak to her, and what should it be like. And these Adivasi boys, also 3 boys who were there in the prison, they were also wondering, because these Adivasi boys, they, according to the police story, I mean, it is not like the Andhra Pradesh police stories of encounter the same words, the same vocabulary and all that. This must have been scripted by some very gifted person, the story. It was a story of even describing the forest where these 3 Adivasi boys was met by this Narmada Ka, and what instructions she gave. And first time in the jail, when I met these 3 Adivasi boys as my co-accused, when I read out the story after it was translated into English, sorry, I'm taking such a long time, I will wrap up with a few things. They are also surprised. I mean, they were also very creative people, but they were also surprised. Like, we were all dreaming together a kind of a figure of Narmada Ka all these 2 years. And the same magistrate, you can see that, no, like, he wrote this, the police story as it is. The same story is repeated in our charge sheet, which is 1,000 page long. So 4 or 5 times the story repeats. And the same story is coming out of the mouth of these Adivasi boys, which never came from Adivasi boys. But the magistrate himself repeated the story. And when my lawyer finally, in the month of March, when he interrogated the magistrate forgot the story. And then, very interestingly, and the public prosecutor has to supply the story, the magistrate to repeat. And then, very creatively, our lawyer asked certain questions, whether they were produced. I mean, the people who were never produced in the court, they were given a confession before the magistrate in the court. That is the kind of case that you can see. I mean, if you can see the all other parts of the story of this case, it's, I mean, it runs like a kind of Hollywood crime thriller. But without going that, I just wanted to a few things, maybe we can interact later on, I wanted to say. Between the court, jail and hospitals, the 3 institutions of the state, 9 months they took with the prison to build a Western style toilet in my small cell. But it started after 3 months. The construction started after 3 months. Even before the construction started, every time the bail application was filed, they lied, saying that there was a Western style toilet already constructed in his prison cell, and then a wheelchair is provided. Latest modern medical facilities are given to him. Everything is lied. From the lower court to the Supreme Court, everything is lied. And so blatant the lies were that then the Western style toilet built after 9 months never worked also. Even till today it never worked. I mean, it was built in such a way that it would never work. And second time when I was sent to prison, I was not even taken to the prison hospital. But they said that they were taken to a private hospital, to the Supreme Court, they said. Such kind of. And when after 9 months, when I was taken to the government medical college hospital, 16 armed guards with AK-47s, they used to enter along with me into the room where the doctor was to treat me. and with a pointed gun against my head and the doctor has to check me. I mean, I didn't understand. I mean, I didn't even read this kind of a story which happened to me. And then all the doctors, others were taken away from that. I mean, it's a general OPD where all the general people should be treated, and it's vacated. You know, like the entire wing is vacated to take me to the hospital. The doctor is so terrorized that his hand shakes when he takes this stethoscope, and that kind of situation. And after that, the intelligence officer comes and takes that you have to write only this much. But very interestingly, again you can see Nagpur, it is Nagpur, despite the headquarters of RSS, there is a Dalit movement also. First doctor, a Dalit doctor, protested this. He shouted at the officers, intelligence officers in front of me, and not a gun in the sight, I will not check him. He shouted. And then, by then, already 10 doctors examined. He referred to it, he said that every report is wrong. I want everything to be specially done again. I will not. He is not known to me, he is not known to anyone. But he took such a daring step. And then this intelligence officer said that no, DAG is looking after this case, sir. Who is DAG? He said, I will not. Even the Home Minister comes, I will not accept this. Every test has to be done again, he said. And then I will supervise every test. Everything has to be repeated. And you see, first 1 month they took me, what was there in the medical reports, and the next 1 month what was there. The entire thing is completely changing, because now this doctor on his own is checking everything. And then one after the other, all the health problems that I got accumulated 9 months came out. And that report went to the High Court, Chief Justice, based on which he immediately asked that within 24 hours he should be admitted in the house. And you see, like several times, 29 times I was taken to the medical college after the lower court order. And after that, High Court entered into this. Every time, you know, like between the court, hospital, and the jail, my life was entangled into the 3 institutions of highly oppressive institutions using their mighty force. But in fact, you know, like because of the campaign outside and the voices, even I got this kind of attention. But what's happening to thousands of Adivasi prisoners all over the different states? We can't even hear of what's happening in Chhattisgarh prisons or Jharkhand prisons. Even Maharashtra, for each Adivasi prison also there is a lawyer. Because of the civil rights movement in Maharashtra, that this was possible history, they are looked after. But there is not even a lawyer in other states. What I felt was that there is a long story, if we can say that every day was an eventful day because of the protests of the prisoners in my support. Just to say like, a few things. If I write one sentence in Telugu, they will object. How do they object? I was in my cell, I could write whatever I wanted to. But every now and then intelligence team will come and raid my cell. And if there is anything written in Telugu or in English, they'll take away that. Even English. But English papers they will return if they feel that there is nothing harmful they find according to them. But Telugu, if I write a line also they are. And particularly whenever I wrote letters to VV, I wrote several letters. They never reached. I think 2 letters reached. And whenever he wrote, I reached after 30 days. I also got only 2 letters from him. I don't know how many letters he wrote. We never met so far to discuss the thing. Particularly, if I write a letter, every day one intelligence officer will come with that letter and ask me to read it out. The next day another officer will come with the same letter. It is a big harassment if I write a letter. No, I did not write him in Telugu. I wrote him in English only. But even then, and to my wife or my child or my mother to write a letter, I have to write only in English. Of course, there's no problem if I write to my daughter in English. But my wife wants in Telugu, they will never allow. They said okay. But particularly if I write a letter to VV for the next 1 month, every day I will have to confront with an intelligence officer. And finally, that will not reach. During such a situation, when I faced with such a situation, I thought that I should translate Ingugi Vatiyani, those words. Incidentally, Vasanta brought a copy of Ingugi's 2 volumes of his biography. And the last time before my arrest, when I visited US, on the invitation of Black Panthers movement leaders who were Black Panthers in the 70s, and they invited me to the university. There were, some of them were professors. They invited me for some lectures there. Ingugi could not come to meet me, and I could not go to meet him. It's like the other side of the US. He was there, and he signed and sent a copy to me through a friend who was coming from San Francisco to Atlanta. And I brought, and my Vasanta brought a copy to me to jail. That is another long story. To get a book inside the jail was again a long struggle. But this copy came, and then I nurtured a desire that I should translate this. And particularly in the context that I am not allowed, and every now and then my cell is raided by the intelligence officers in the middle of the night. Like my house was raided before my 3 months before my arrest. Even constantly every week there was a raid on my cell by the intelligence. So in such circumstances I decided to translate, and then for about 15 years I did not write anything in Telugu. But I wanted to write in Telugu, that book, because the struggle of Ingugi in that book for education, to get education. That struggle was a kind of a magnificent struggle. All that struggle that was described was one parallel struggle happening in the hills against the British and the ruling classes who allied with the British. That is Mau Mau armed rebellion, where his elder brother was also one of the leaders. Outside that area of the struggle, in the cities, another great struggle, parallel struggle was going on for these Adivasi boys. They were Adivasi, Ingugi and all the Africans, for education. Education, to go to school was a big struggle. That struggle, the two parallel struggles were described in a wonderful manner, and I identified myself for my own education, the struggle I had in my childhood. I thought that everybody should read this book, and then the only thing that I can do is to translate it in Telugu, where the circumstances in Telugu-speaking land is very similar, so people can read. I wanted to translate. Now the circumstances is that, I can't keep a line in Telugu there. So, but with great enthusiasm, I started. With the pain, I could not sit and all that, but with that I started. Every page I finished translating, and that page will be carried away from my cell immediately and kept in different cells hidden. That was the arrangement. In the under cell, who are they? Adivasis, Dalits, or the Muslim terrorists. All are in my favor. All are ready to help. So each page will be carried away and hidden in different cells, because the raid will happen in my cell and not other cells. So after 2-3 pages are translated, and somebody among anyone out of 29 people in different cells of the under cell, whoever gets the opportunity to go to high court attendance, he will carry that page or 3 pages, keeping that in their underwear. You are not allowed to carry out anything from the prisoner. And they will go and give it to their lawyer, and their lawyer either will post it to some address or pass it on to my lawyer. This was the arrangement. And for the next 3 months, I translated, and every page safely reached outside by all these prisoners. And when the prisoners, no prisoner was getting an opportunity to go and take this, the jail guard will carry the papers outside secretly. That's how each page came out of the jail. I will not take much time. There are many stories to tell about this. And of course, so far, in the campaign for my release and defense, there are many stories which are about my suffering, and it looks like a very tragic this thing. But the whole story is not a very such a sad story, because the kind of people I had the opportunity to spend with, though so many restrictions were there, not even allowed to speak. Standing orders were there that I was not allowed to speak with next person. Even then, I had such a eventful life in Kuwait. I forgot my, the diseases, the problems I faced with the suffering and the pain. I lived with them, and eventful days we had, and also a number of struggles we had within the prison. And finally, one last thing I would just tell you in a few days, this thing. Every prisoner, by the second time I was sent back to the prisoner, decided that we will not attend the video conference. That became a kind of a civil war within the prison. I mean, every prisoner refusing to attend the video conference pushed the courts in Maharashtra into crisis, the government into crisis, the jail into crisis, the intelligence into crisis. Such was the situation when they decided that if Saibaba is taken to the court, Saibaba will not raise this issue, so others will forget, and then that will be. That's how they produced me in the second phase, last phase.